Welcome to this week's What's for Dinner video. My name is Ashley. I'm going to be showing you 3 different meals I made this past week. I don't always follow recipes exactly, but if you're interested, I've linked some similar recipes down below. The first dinner I'm going to be showing you, I made a loaded baked potato soup. This is my first time making this and I think it turned out amazing. Not only did I think this meal was super quick and easy, but it also was pretty inexpensive. So I'm just starting off with my potatoes. I am using russet potatoes for this. They are cheaper. I'm just going to dice these up into small pieces. That way when I mash them, they are pretty easy. I didn't measure or count how many potatoes I used, but I did use enough to have a little bit left over afterwards. I like to make meals that have a little bit extra on the side. So next I'm just going to quickly wash my potatoes, make sure they're nice and cleaned, and then I will get started on the soup. So next I'm going to throw my potatoes into my pot. I do it like this, that way I can just add enough water to cover the potatoes. If I do it the opposite way, I find I add way too much water. So for me, just enough water to cover the potatoes was enough. Next, I'm going to add in my bouillon powder. So I added about 4 cups of water. So I'm going to do 4 teaspoons of chicken bouillon powder. I am telling you, buying bouillon powder over boxed chicken broth really changed my life. So while these potatoes were boiling, I actually went and took a shower, real life, after work. Luckily had my husband to watch this, so when I came back they were perfect and ready to mash. So I am using my potato masher. You want to be careful because this is boiling hot water. I'm just going to mash them up as best as I can. Also feel free to peel your potatoes if you don't want any skin. So next I'm going to add a little bit of heavy whipping cream to the soup base just to make it a little bit creamier, maybe about a 1/4 cup. So I'm just going to continue mashing. I'm going to add a little bit of onion powder and some sharp cheddar cheese. The cheddar cheese is kind of what helps make this a little bit loaded, and then I also do add in some sour cream. At this point, I definitely started to taste test it, so I wanted to add a little bit more cheese. I do like to add salt at the end, that way once I have all my ingredients, my cheeses, all of that has salt, so you want to really make sure you don't add too much. Next, a huge component for me is my cornstarch slurry. I prefer really thick soups. This is just a thickener. It is equal parts cornstarch and water, and it just acts as a nice thickener for soups and sauces. It is also pretty instant, so you will see it thicken up really quick. Next, I'm going to add in a little bit of black pepper and some Cajun seasoning just for a little bit more flavor. Then I just let the soup simmer and sit on low for 20 to 30 minutes while I cooked the bacon, because you cannot have loaded baked potatoes without bacon, obviously. So I am going to lay down 4 slices of bacon. We had a huge pack of bacon, so you will see me try to use up all of this bacon. So I let this bacon cook on medium until it is all the way cooked through, and then I will chop it up. Once the bacon was done, I just set it on a paper towel to drain all the excess grease. This is how everything looked when it was done. We just served it with some French bread. We topped it with cheese, sour cream, bacon, and green onion. So good. The next dinner I'm going to be showing you, I made a Parmesan lemon garlic butter chicken pasta. Truly all of my favorite things. So I'm going to start out with my chicken breast. I'm going to butterfly some chicken breasts in half, that way they are nice and thin. I'm just going to season with all of my favorite seasonings. I am using some Cajun seasoning, onion powder, paprika for some color, and some pepper. So I made sure to season the chicken really well, that way this has a lot of good flavor. So I had my pan heating up on a medium heat. I added a little bit of oil, and now I'm just going to place down all of my pieces of chicken. While my chicken is cooking, I do have part of a box of penne noodles cooking, boiling. Once my chicken was nice and brown on the one side, I went ahead and flipped it, and you know me, I like to cover my chicken or any meat that I cook, that way it keeps all of the moisture. Tell me this doesn't look like some good chicken. So I just went ahead and removed the chicken. Now I'm going to work on the sauce. I kept all of those juices and seasonings in the pan. I'm just adding half a stick of butter. So I am making a Parmesan lemon garlic butter sauce. So I'm going to add in some lemon juice that I had. I am adding a nice spoonful of minced garlic. I'm going to add in some pepper and some onion powder. I also did add a tiny splash of leftover pasta water. I'm also going to sprinkle in some dried parsley flakes. So now I'm going to add in my drained pasta. I just used some penne. This would even be good with angel hair or linguine. So I'm just going to toss that around and add in my grated Parmesan cheese. This is totally optional, but I had this on hand. I'm just adding in a small splash of heavy whipping cream just to make it a little bit creamier. So lastly, I'm going to add another pinch of my dried parsley flakes. I wanted to add a lot of color to this. Feel free to add as much Parmesan as you want. I think I did add a little bit more as well. This is how everything looked when it was done. I just roasted some green beans and made a slice of garlic bread for my husband. This was so yummy. The last dinner I'm going to be showing you was very simple. I just made chicken bacon ranch quesadillas. So I'm starting out with my bacon. Again, I'm trying to get through this pack of bacon. I'm just going to cook up 5 slices of bacon in my pan and then set this aside. My husband loves bacon, so he had no problem with all of the bacon this week. So once the bacon was done, I just set this aside on a paper towel to drain the excess oil, and then I started working on the rest of my meal, which was the chicken. So I did drain most of the bacon grease, but I left like a spoonful to cook the chicken in, just to kind of give the chicken that bacon flavor. I lightly seasoned my chicken with salt, pepper, onion powder, nothing crazy because the quesadilla will have lots of flavor. So once the chicken was done, I just removed it to a cutting board, and the chicken had to rest for like 10 minutes before I could cut it because it was super hot. So then I went ahead and started to assemble my quesadillas. I am using 1 layer of Monterey Jack cheese on the bottom. Then I'm going to layer the chicken, bacon, and then squeeze some ranch on top. This was my husband's quesadilla, so I made this nice and full. So I'm going to use my Hidden Valley Buttermilk Ranch. Personally, this is not my favorite ranch, but it is what we have on hand now. And lastly, I'm going to sprinkle in some sharp cheddar cheese. So I just sprayed my pan with some cooking spray, and I'm going to place my quesadilla on there. I do like to cover with a lid if I can to just kind of help melt the cheese inside. Once it was nice and brown, I just went ahead and flipped it. This is how everything looked when it was done. I just made some homemade pico de gallo, and this was such a quick and easy dinner. Thank you so much for watching this week's What's for Dinner video. Make sure you come back next week for another one.